If I were you, I'd grow eyes in the back of my head.
Thanks for the advice.
Well, that's free.
It's the movie that flopped in theaters but conquered hearts for decades. The Shawshank Redemption went from box office disappointment to one of the most beloved films ever made. But behind those prison walls lie secrets few fans have uncovered. From shocking casting choices to hidden Easter eggs and real-life inspirations, this masterpiece holds more mysteries than you think. Here are 20 weird facts about Shawshank Redemption that'll change how you see it forever. Number 1. Frank Darabont didn't pay big money for the rights. He used Stephen King's dollar baby route and later sent a $5,000 check King never cashed. Frank Darabont's journey to adapting The Shawshank Redemption is a story of ingenuity and modest means triumphing over Hollywood's usual high-stakes bidding wars. Rather than engaging in an expensive competitive rights acquisition, Darabont leveraged Stephen King's Dollar Baby program, a unique initiative through which aspiring filmmakers could option the rights to a short story or novella for a nominal fee, literally $1. This unconventional route allowed Darabont to secure the rights to King's 1982 novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption without a major financial burden, giving him the freedom to focus on translating the story's intricate character dynamics and themes to the screen. Later, in a gesture of goodwill and recognition of the adaptation's eventual scale, Darabont wrote a $5,000 check to King. King, displaying his trademark humor and humility, framed the check and returned it, leaving a lighthearted note that underscored the playful collaboration between author and filmmaker. This minimal upfront investment belied the project's eventual cultural weight. Darabont's careful stewardship transformed what began as a low-cost, almost symbolic acquisition into one of the most revered and enduring films in cinematic history, proving that creativity and vision can outweigh budget in the making of a masterpiece. Number 2. Most of the movie was shot in a decommissioned real prison, the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield. The visual authenticity of The Shawshank Redemption owes much to its choice of location, the imposing Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. This decommissioned prison, with its soaring Gothic architecture, rusting bars, and echoing corridors, provided the perfect backdrop for the story's harrowing yet ultimately hopeful narrative. Filming in a real penitentiary lent the movie a tangible sense of confinement and weight that a studio set could never fully replicate. The filmmakers meticulously transformed the space into the fictional Shawshank State Penitentiary, using its stark cell blocks, grand staircases, and shadowed hallways to amplify the themes of institutional oppression, endurance, and camaraderie among inmates. Iconic elements of the film, from the warden's office to the roof scenes, were all captured within this authentic environment, enhancing the realism and emotional resonance. Number 3. It was a theatrical underperformer that became a TV rental phenomenon and then a bona fide classic. The Shawshank Redemption had an unusual trajectory that defied traditional Hollywood expectations. When it opened in theaters in 1994, the film performed modestly, failing to attract large audiences despite strong reviews and critical acclaim. Its box office returns were underwhelming, a disappointment given the film's later status as a masterpiece. However, this initial commercial lukewarmness was only the beginning of its ascent. The movie found a second life through television broadcasts, most notably on the cable channel TNT, where repeated airings allowed new audiences to discover its quietly powerful story. Home video rentals further broadened its reach, giving viewers the opportunity to watch, re-watch, and share the film's emotional resonance at their own pace. Word-of-mouth buzz grew steadily, fueled by the film's compelling characters, poignant themes of hope and friendship, and unforgettable performances by Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Number 4. Several A-list white actors were considered for Red before Morgan Freeman was cast. Casting the role of Ellis "Red" Redding in The Shawshank Redemption was a critical and surprisingly complex decision. In Stephen King's original novella, Red is depicted as a middle-aged white Irishman, which initially led producers and casting directors to consider a slate of established white A-list actors. Names such as Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, Paul Newman, and Harrison Ford were floated, each bringing a distinctive gravitas and star power that could have dramatically shaped the film's tone and audience expectations. Yet, despite these high-profile considerations, director Frank Darabont ultimately took a bold, unconventional route by casting Morgan Freeman, an African-American actor whose measured voice, understated presence, and profound emotional depth would become inseparable from the character. Freeman's portrayal added a new layer of universality and warmth to Red, emphasizing resilience, empathy, and quiet wisdom over the brash charisma or conventional leading man appeal of the other actors considered. The casting choice not only redefined the character for the screen, but also underscored Darabont's commitment to finding the performer who could fully embody the heart of the story, rather than simply following preconceived expectations. Freeman's performance ultimately became iconic, cementing Red as one of cinema's most memorable and deeply human characters. Number 5. The famous oak tree in the final scene became a tourist landmark, then was damaged, and later toppled. The enormous oak tree featured in the final scene of the Shawshank Redemption evolved far beyond its cinematic role, becoming a tangible symbol for fans around the world. This majestic tree, under which Red discovers Andy's note, promising a life of freedom in Zihuatanejo, captured the imagination of audiences and quickly transformed into a pilgrimage site for devoted fans. Visitors from across the globe would make the journey to the quiet countryside location, often leaving notes, memorabilia, and tokens in homage to the film and its themes of hope, friendship, and perseverance. Over time, the tree itself became as legendary as the story it framed, a living monument to one of cinema's most cherished finales. Unfortunately, nature took its toll. In 2011, the oak sustained significant damage, likely due to storms and age, which weakened its structure. The damage saddened fans and sparked a surge of nostalgic tributes online and at the site. Eventually, heavy winds caused the once proud oak to topple entirely, leaving behind only memories and photographs. Despite its physical absence, the tree's legacy endures, enshrined in the hearts of fans and in the lore of the Shawshank Redemption, where the line between film and reality continues to blur. Number 6. The crawl through a river of the escape sequence was shot in a creek with real animal waste. Tim Robbins got filthy. The iconic escape sequence in the Shawshank Redemption, where Andy Dufresne crawls through what he famously calls a river of remains one of the film's most memorable and visceral moments, and it was just as grueling to shoot as it looks on screen. Director Frank Darabont has confirmed that the scene was filmed in a real creek, which had to be dammed to achieve the proper flow and depth for the shot. The water contained genuine organic runoff, creating an undeniably foul environment. To make the scene safe for filming, the crew treated and sanitized the creek as much as possible, but there was no way to make it completely pleasant. Tim Robbins, portraying Andy, had to wriggle through the narrow pipe and then slide headfirst into the murky water, emerging drenched, covered, and thoroughly filthy. Despite the sanitation efforts, the experience was physically uncomfortable and intensely unpleasant, requiring Robbins to endure the stench and slimy residue for multiple takes. His commitment to authenticity elevated the scene, making it one of the most harrowing yet unforgettable moments in cinematic history. The result is a sequence that continues to shock and resonate with audiences, a testament to both Robbins' dedication and Darabont's insistence on realism in capturing Andy's daring, grueling journey to freedom. Number 7. Andy's pin-up posters, Rita Hayworth, Raquel Welch, Marilyn Monroe, are literal plot devices, and Darabont changed the film's published title emphasis. In The Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne's pin-up posters, Rita Hayworth, Raquel Welch, and later Marilyn Monroe, serve as far more than mere decoration. They are literal plot devices crucial to the story's progression. In Stephen King's original novella, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, the title itself highlighted the significance of the posters, particularly the first one, which conceals Andy's painstakingly dug escape tunnel. Director Frank Darabont made a deliberate choice to streamline the film's title to The Shawshank Redemption, but he preserved the visual and narrative power of the pinups. Each poster functions as a clever disguise, hiding months of Andy's labor from the prison guards while also subtly signaling his enduring hope and cunning. The progression from Rita Hayworth to Raquel Welch, and finally to Marilyn Monroe, mirrors the passage of time and Andy's meticulous planning, adding layers of realism and continuity to the story. Number 8. Morgan Freeman recorded a narration guide track early so Darabont could play it on set-to-set rhythm, then re-recorded it later. Morgan Freeman's narration in The Shawshank Redemption is one of the film's most distinctive and beloved elements, but achieving its seamless, measured quality required careful planning and multiple recording stages. Early in production, Freeman recorded what director Frank Darabont called a guide track, a rough version of the voiceover that wasn't intended for the final cut, but served a very practical purpose on set. By playing this preliminary narration during filming, the crew and actors could establish the correct rhythm, pacing, and emotional tone for each scene, ensuring that dialogue delivery, camera movements, and scene timing aligned with the reflective, measured cadence of Freeman's eventual voiceover. This method also helped Darabont shape the performances and visual storytelling around the narration, which is crucial given that Red's perspective frames much of the film. Once principal photography was complete, Freeman returned to record the polished, final narration in a controlled studio environment. This allowed him to perfect intonation, pacing, and emotional nuance, producing the smooth, warm, and authoritative voice that has become inseparable from the film itself. The dual-stage approach, guide track on set, final recording in studio, demonstrates both Darabont's meticulous attention to storytelling detail and Freeman's mastery as a narrator, resulting in a voiceover that elevates The Shawshank Redemption from compelling drama to enduring classic. Number 9. Stephen King literally framed Darabont's royalty check and mailed it back with a joke, "In case you ever need bail money." The friendship and mutual admiration between Stephen King and Frank Darabont took on a famously playful twist around the film adaptation of The Shawshank Redemption. After the movie's release, Darabont sent King a $5,000 royalty check, a gesture of gratitude and respect for the source material that launched one of the most celebrated adaptations in modern cinema. Rather than cashing the check, King responded in characteristically witty fashion. He framed the check and returned it to Darabont with a handwritten note that read, "In case you ever need bail money." The joke perfectly captured King's irreverent sense of humor while cementing the two men's rapport, blending professional courtesy with a touch of playful mischief. This exchange has since become a legendary anecdote in Hollywood lore, often cited to illustrate the camaraderie between authors and the filmmakers who bring their work to life. Number 10. The Mansfield area now profits from a full Shawshank Trail. The movie revived local tourism. The legacy of The Shawshank Redemption extends far beyond the screen, leaving a lasting economic and cultural impact on the Mansfield, Ohio area where much of the film was shot. Recognizing the movie's enduring popularity and its appeal to fans worldwide, local tourism boards developed the official Shawshank Trail, a curated route that guides visitors through key filming locations, including the iconic prison exterior at the Ohio State Reformatory, Andy's escape sites, and other memorable landmarks. The trail allows fans to step into the world of Shawshank, reenacting scenes, taking photos, and immersing themselves in the film's atmosphere. The initiative has transformed Mansfield into a pilgrimage destination for cinephiles, attracting thousands of visitors each year from around the globe. Economists and local officials credit the Shawshank connection with generating millions of dollars in annual tourism revenue, benefiting hotels, restaurants, shops, and other small businesses in the area. Number 11. Thomas Newman rewrote part of his escape cue after Darabont thought it sounded too triumphal. The score was intentionally restrained. When it came to scoring Andy Dufresne's iconic escape in The Shawshank Redemption, composer Thomas Newman faced the challenge of capturing the scene's emotional weight without tipping into melodrama. Initially, Newman composed a more overtly triumphant orchestral motif, a sweeping, celebratory sound that might have emphasized victory in a conventional cinematic way. However, director Frank Darabont felt that such a grandiose approach would undermine the scene's subtle, hard-won poignancy. He requested that Newman rewrite the cue to be more restrained, favoring emotional depth over overt heroics. The resulting score is a masterclass in understatement, a single-note motif accompanied by gentle harmonica undertones, evoking a quiet sense of release, relief, and hope rather than bombast. This minimalist approach mirrors Andy's journey, painful, painstaking, and deeply personal, allowing audiences to feel the culmination of years of struggle without being told how to react. Newman's restraint elevates the scene, letting the visuals, Andy's escape, and the narrative itself carry the weight, while the music subtly amplifies the emotional resonance. The final cue has since become one of the most memorable pieces of Newman's career, demonstrating the power of simplicity and careful directorial collaboration in creating an enduring cinematic moment. Number 12. Roger Deakins' cinematography earned major praise and an ASC award. The movie's look was key to its emotional power. Roger Deakins' cinematography in The Shawshank Redemption is widely regarded as a cornerstone of the film's enduring emotional power. His work transformed the Ohio State Reformatory and surrounding locations into a cinematic world that felt tangible, lived in, and emotionally resonant. Deakins employed a carefully calibrated color palette, using muted tones to reflect the oppressive, claustrophobic atmosphere of Shawshank Prison, while subtly incorporating warmer hues during moments of hope and human connection. His use of light and shadow gave the stone corridors, cramped cells, and sprawling exterior grounds a rich, textured quality that made the environment itself a silent character in the story. Critics repeatedly praised Deakins' ability to blend naturalistic realism with cinematic artistry, highlighting how his framing and camera movements heightened both the drama and the emotional intimacy of the film. His work earned him major recognition, including the prestigious American Society of Cinematographers (ASC) award, cementing his role in crafting the film's visual identity. Number 13. Darabont had a very different original ending in mind. Test audiences pushed him to include the reunion on the beach. Originally, director Frank Darabont envisioned a far more ambiguous ending for The Shawshank Redemption, one that would leave Red's ultimate fate unresolved. In Darabont's first conception, the film concluded with Red boarding a bus, symbolizing his tentative step toward freedom, but leaving his journey, and the possibility of reuniting with Andy, open to interpretation. This ending emphasized the uncertainty and realism of life after prison, reflecting Red's cautious optimism and the challenges of reintegration. However, during test screenings, audiences reacted strongly to the idea of a more hopeful, emotionally satisfying resolution. Viewers overwhelmingly responded to the prospect of Red and Andy meeting on the beach in Zihuatanejo, expressing a desire to witness the tangible payoff of years of struggle, friendship, and hope. Taking this feedback to heart, the studio agreed to finance the additional scene, and Darabont filmed the reunion sequence, capturing Red's joyous, tearful moment on the sunlit shore. This added scene shifted the film's ending from ambiguous to triumphant, providing a sense of closure while preserving the story's emotional resonance. The decision illustrates the delicate balance between a director's original artistic vision and audience expectations, and the resulting beach reunion has become one of the most iconic and celebrated conclusions in modern cinema, forever linked to the film's enduring legacy of hope and perseverance. Number 14. The film cut a longer sequence showing Red's difficult early post-prison adjustment for pacing reasons. In the early stages of editing The Shawshank Redemption, director Frank Darabont explored a more extensive depiction of Red's post-prison life, including a longer montage that detailed his struggles to adjust to freedom. This sequence showed Red navigating the challenges of reintegration, learning to handle money, finding his way through a world he had been cut off from for decades, and grappling with the emotional weight of isolation and uncertainty. The intent was to underscore the psychological impact of long-term incarceration, providing a raw, realistic portrayal of a man reclaiming his place in society. However, during test screenings, Darabont noticed that audiences had already accepted Red's fate and were emotionally invested in his eventual reunion with Andy. The longer sequence, while insightful, disrupted the film's pacing and diluted the emotional climax of the story. To maintain narrative momentum and ensure the finale retained maximum impact, Darabont made the decision to trim much of this material. Number 15. Small, true details were obsessively recreated. The production kept the false pipe Andy crawls through on display at the prison museum. The production of The Shawshank Redemption was marked by an obsessive attention to small, authentic details, many of which have become enduring artifacts for fans and visitors. One of the most famous examples is the false pipe that Andy Dufresne crawls through during his daring escape. Constructed specifically for filming, the pipe was designed to look realistic while accommodating the safety and logistics of shooting, but it has since taken on a life of its own as a tangible piece of cinematic history. When the Ohio State Reformatory transitioned into a museum, the filmmakers and preservationists made sure to retain key props and set pieces from the film, including this very pipe, for display. Visitors walking through the museum can see it up close, offering a rare glimpse into the physical world of Shawshank Prison and the painstaking craftsmanship behind the film's most iconic sequences. Number 16. The screenplay trims and omits grimmer elements from King's novella, including a darker origin for Red. When adapting Stephen King's novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption for the screen, Frank Darabont made the deliberate choice to streamline and sanitize certain grimmer aspects of the source material. One notable example is the character of Red, whose backstory in the novella is significantly darker. King portrays him as having committed a more violent crime and being a man with a rougher, more morally ambiguous past. In the film, Darabont chose to omit these harsher details, focusing instead on Red's emotional core, his wisdom, humor, and capacity for hope, so that audiences could connect more deeply with him as a sympathetic narrator and moral anchor. Similarly, other elements of the book that were bleak or unsettling were softened or left out entirely, creating a narrative that retained the story's themes of injustice, perseverance, and redemption while making it more accessible and emotionally resonant for a wide audience. This approach allowed the film to preserve the intensity of the prison setting and the struggle for freedom without overwhelming viewers with unnecessary darkness. Darabont's selective adaptation emphasizes character over circumstance, transforming King's novella into a cinematic experience where the emotional journey, friendship, hope, and the quest for liberation takes center stage, ensuring the story resonates with audiences decades after its release. Number 17. The movie's initial edit was nearly 2.5 hours. The final cut runs 142 minutes after careful pruning. The initial cut of The Shawshank Redemption was nearly 2.5 hours long, reflecting Frank Darabont's thorough vision and the wealth of material adapted from Stephen King's novella. This rough assembly included extended scenes, additional character moments, and sequences that, while illuminating, ultimately slowed the film's pacing. During the editing process, Darabont and his team meticulously reviewed each scene, weighing narrative importance against the need to maintain momentum and audience engagement. Certain montages, subplots, and extended dialogues were trimmed or removed entirely, not to diminish the story, but to ensure that the film's emotional arcs remained tight and compelling. The goal was to balance rich character development with narrative flow, creating a runtime that allowed viewers to fully invest in Andy and Red's journey without feeling dragged down by extraneous detail. After careful pruning, the final cut settled at 142 minutes, a length that preserves the story's depth, the evolving friendship between the leads, and the suspense of key plot points, while keeping the pacing crisp and engaging. This careful editing process demonstrates the filmmaker's commitment to both storytelling and audience experience, transforming a sprawling initial assembly into the polished, emotionally resonant film that has since become a timeless classic. Number 18. The film received 7 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture and Best Actor, but won none. When The Shawshank Redemption was recognized by the Academy in 1995, it received 7 nominations, signaling broad industry acclaim despite its modest box office performance at the time. Among the nods were Best Picture, acknowledging Frank Darabont's masterful direction and the film's enduring narrative; Best Actor for Morgan Freeman, whose portrayal of Red anchored the story with warmth and gravitas; and Best Adapted Screenplay, honoring Darabont's skillful translation of Stephen King's novella to the screen. Additional nominations included Best Cinematography for Roger Deakins, Best Film Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Original Score for Thomas Newman, reflecting the film's technical artistry and meticulous craftsmanship. Despite the breadth of recognition, the ceremony concluded with the film taking home no Oscars, a disappointment for the creative team given its critical reverence and the strength of its performances. Over time, however, the absence of wins has not diminished the film's legacy. Shawshank has since become a beloved classic, widely regarded as one of the greatest films of all time. Its reputation continues to grow, fueled by audience admiration, critical re-evaluation, and cultural impact, demonstrating that awards, while prestigious, are not the sole measure of a film's enduring power or influence. Number 19. The film has long dominated IMDb's top 250 and other public best film polls since the late 1990s-2000s. Since its release, The Shawshank Redemption has grown into a cultural touchstone, consistently dominating public vote rankings and cementing its reputation as one of the greatest films of all time. Although its initial box office performance was modest, the movie found a devoted audience through home video, cable broadcasts, and word-of-mouth enthusiasm, allowing it to gain traction among viewers worldwide. Over the late 1990s and early 2000s, this growing appreciation was reflected in audience-driven polls, particularly IMDb's Top 250, where fan votes propelled the film ever higher. In 2008, it famously reached the #1 spot on the list, a position it has maintained or hovered near for years, illustrating the remarkable staying power of its story, performances, and themes. Its dominance in these rankings goes beyond critical acclaim. It represents a unique measure of public affection, demonstrating that the film resonates deeply with generations of viewers who connect with its exploration of hope, friendship, and resilience. This enduring popularity has been mirrored in other fan-driven best film lists, awards, and cultural references, proving that Shawshank transcends its initial reception. The film's continued top placement highlights not only the universal appeal of Darabont's adaptation and the unforgettable performances of Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, but also the timeless power of storytelling to inspire and move audiences long after its theatrical debut. Number 20. Tiny production anecdotes became legend, e.g. the rain cloud and the oak, and the movie's many little set bits that fans still hunt down on tours. The Shawshank Redemption is not only celebrated for its story and performances, but also for the countless small production details that have become legendary among fans. Tiny, deliberate choices on set, some planned, some serendipitous, have grown into cinematic folklore, inspiring pilgrimages and devoted fan exploration decades after filming. One of the most famous anecdotes involves the staged rain during Andy's climactic escape scene. Production crews created a controlled downpour to heighten the emotional release of his long-awaited freedom, and the resulting image of Robbins drenched in rain has become iconic. Similarly, the enormous oak tree where Red finds Andy's note evolved from a background prop into a must-see real-world landmark, drawing thousands of visitors eager to connect with the story physically. Other small touches, like the false pipe Andy crawls through or minor set decorations that helped convey the prison's oppressive atmosphere, have been preserved in the Ohio State Reformatory Museum, allowing fans to experience the tactile world of Shawshank firsthand. The creation of the Shawshank Trail formalized these sites into a guided route, encouraging enthusiasts to explore filming locations and relive scenes in person. What do you think about these facts? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.